Hey guys, Scott McKay here, Thin Air Graphics from Down and Dirty Tricks. Got a cool how-to for you. This was from one of my live feeds actually last year. This is the Dragon step-by-step how-to. Did a live feed of what I've done. I've edited that down to take out some of the stuff that didn't pertain to the project and put it into an official how-to video. And if you want to do this file, you can go on to mckayfineart.com, download the vector file, and follow along, just like this. This was the project. This is what we did on the live feed. Really cool image. I think we did it in about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And it's a vector that's, basically plotted out. Or you could paper cut it and you could actually draw this out and hand cut it the same way. And basically what you do is once you plot it out and stick it to your board, this is actually by the numbers. You pull from the numbers, follow along the video, you'll end up getting this. The added bonus to this is if you go in reverse on a dark surface. So this was done on a light surface, and you went from the numbers, you went from 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on to 25, and worked your way out of it using the darker colors and working your way up on a light surface. If you switch to a dark surface, you actually reverse the numbers and go from 25 backwards, and you end up with this. So basically you get two projects in one. It teaches you a lot. It's a fun project. It will actually let you learn how to develop projects like this that aren't technically by number. You don't have to do it by number. The numbers were just a way to represent the order of which you work sequentially. So it's a great lesson on sequential masking, and it's a fun project. I really had a blast doing it. The live feed was great, so follow along and check it out. Have a good one. It's kind of hard to see now. It's going to be a dragon. For those who took my class, I think it was the last class in San Antonio at the Airbrush Art Circus. I'm going to do the dragon piece I did in that class. So I'm going to do a little different. I'm not going to do it on a Lumalore panel this time. I didn't have time to get that prepped today. So I'm just going to go in and do it on a regular white metal panel. So we have it all cut and masked out. And we're going to get to it in just a second.
So what orange protector like instantly went back to green?
So sounds good. Okay, cool. How's everyone's Saturday? Hope everyone's doing all right. All right, so what I've done, I've pre-cut this out. I really should have printed out an image of this so you guys can see it, but we'll just work it as I work it. When I do my vector files like this, I work from, I'm on a white background this time, and I'm going to be going up on the scale from there. So what I do is I pull the darkest stuff first, and I shade that, and then I start working my way up the ladder. If I'm on a dark surface, I go the other way. This is kind of a tutorial I do with my my chains. If you go to the chain example on my Thin Air Graphics YouTube channel, that video kind of explains my method of working from bottom to top and top to bottom depending on the color surface you're on. So I try to pick out things that are in the background, and I'll usually try to pull a few at once. This I was thinking would be a cool online downloadable project. And when we did this, and Shane, if Shane Quick's on, he'll know, and a few other people. We decided when we worked through this as a class, we actually numbered it all, went paint by number. So,
Shane just commented earlier, paint by number.
Right. So what I might do is do this. So you print out the registration with the numbers on it, and then you plot so you know which ones to pull first and which ones, you can pull. You can pull quite a bit at once. I'm just going to start with, I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with this. Things I know are further in the background. I'm going to pull some of those first. I'm going to work my way up. And I'll use some different stencils and different textures, including one I showed everyone when I was at a couple circuses. I've been making these for years. These come in really handy. I should do a video on these. This is really, it's industrial hot glue. Industrial hot glue on super non-stick aluminum foil. And just get it real hot and start moving it around and, getting all these real, really random patterns. Great way to make texture stencils. So they're different. They're really cheap. You can make them as big as you want. They're flexible because they're rubber. It took, I went through a whole bunch of different types of glue before I found it. I found the craft ones weren't that great because they were a little too brittle. Usually industrial glue was nice because it was flexible enough, and these hold up quite a bit. So what I've mixed up for color, I've done a black purple. Okay, we're gonna use one color, monochromatic, and one airbrush. Not a lot of switching. So watch this. Just nice little texture. Just to give it a little bit of extra. I might reduce this a little more. How's the video quality, guys? Everything sounding good? Everything looking good? What I always love about doing the shows live is I got people talking in my ear, which is nice. This way I don't. And we all know about the whole Facebook music thing. I can't run music.
That's like every social media now, though. It's not just Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only one that really allows you to is Instagram.
Yeah. TikTok does.
Yeah.
But you're not live.
They have live.
Do they have live TikTok? I don't know.
They have like, they have tons of regulations, and it's not really like a good platform for like company stuff unless you're like.
Yeah.
Even they have some copyright rules though.
Yeah, you gotta have some copyright rules.
Like now you have to go live, you have to have a certain amount of followers, be a certain age.
Yep. I'm probably too old for that.
No, you have to be
I know, I'm joking. So in here, I'm trying to just get this a little darker. This is going to be mostly black. And I'm just going to work it down. And you can do, because I didn't really put any 40-30 in it, this is where you can do some erasing. If you want to erase out some detail. I'm not going to go too nuts in the end. Maybe I'll put some fire and stuff at the end. So I'm just going to really push this back into the background. Get it pretty dark. I know you guys are looking at it like, it just looks like a blob. Yeah, it kind of does.
Shane asks, do you have your Shane's Gray?
I do not have the Shane's Gray. That's funny. I almost forgot about that. When we were doing the project, it was on a Lumalor panel, and we had to make a color that matched the Lumalor Gray. And Shane was the first one to really get it, so we nicknamed it Shane's Gray instead of Payne's Gray. And it kind of stuck. It was kind of like the running, not joke the whole time, but it turned into something. So he would ever be known as creative Shane's Gray. Right now I'm just working on contrast. This is the bottom side of the horn. We could definitely do some cool erasing, or we can do some texture effects here. This one's too big. Let me grab my small one. I actually organized my draws today too, with where my small stencils are, my big stencils are. I think Gerald would actually be proud of my setup today. I was talking to my brother earlier, and he was organizing his workshop area, and I think that got me into wanting to do mine as well. So yeah, right now it just looks like a blob. What I try to do is I really try to get through this stage somewhat quick, and then I can freehand out the detail later once I get the mask off. So I'm really just trying to get all the major edges. Because then I can come in, I can do a nice little, just a little bit of texture. Happy little texture. I'm going to go side shot. Nice. So, for those just joining, it's hard to see what I'm doing. What this is actually a plotted out dragon. I'm not sure if it's very clear on the image, but I can see it all here. And what I'm doing is I'm picking and pulling the mask as I go. And what I try to do is once I pull the mask, I'll go in and I'll freehand out some of those edges.
Oh, Luminor's here.
What's happening, guys? I'm going to try to get onto one of your Luminor panels tomorrow. Today I was rearranging the shop. So yeah, this is the paint by number dragon, pretty much. So I think we will eventually make this into a downloadable file, which I think would be really, really cool. Now, what I should have done is, because I didn't think about it, I should have removed this one first, because it's actually behind the jaw. So let me see if I saved it. That's a back side tooth. That's back. So let's see here. Yeah, I saved it, kind of. Yeah, the nice thing about this FBS Blue Mask, it's so flexible. It's just rigid enough to save, but it also stretches like crazy. So you can like wrap this around a ball pretty much. And I'm going to reposition that back on. And now we're going to do this kind of gum stretch area. We'll use that template. So yeah, if you're looking for a project while you're in quarantine, if you got a hot glue gun, get some super non-stick aluminum foil, make yourself some texture templates. I think I might mix up another color here. I think I'm going to take the same color, add it into my other airbrush. Oops, big mistake. Always put reducer first. So I'm just mixing up some black into the purple here so I can get some dark colors right away. I think I was talking about last night having two airbrushes. So what's nice about having two, you can build your tones a lot faster. Because you're not always constantly trying to clean an airbrush out.
That probably gets annoying.
It does. Well, when I first, my parents got me my first airbrush in 1989. It was a single action airbrush. It was a Thayer Chandler. I want to say it was a Model B. I don't have it anymore. I got pieces of it, and I haven't been able to find one again. You had to screw. It was a single action Thayer Chandler, and then those glass bottles, and you had to screw the bottle onto the bottom. So it was like it was a round cup on it. Maybe Gerald Mendez would know. I'll have to ask Gerald. And he had to screw it on. I forget which model it was, but that was my first airbrush and how I first started.
I think the main issue I have with airbrushing is that I'm so heavy-handed and you can put like a lot of pressure on things.
Yeah.
And I like seeing like making physical contact with things. So
Yeah, Kaylee brings up a good point. I think the biggest disconnect, especially if you're already an established artist, like a tattoo artist especially, we're used to a tactile response from what you're working on. Airbrushing is a hard medium to learn because you're so used to getting a tactile response.
Like, I can airbrush if I'm not doing detail. Like, if I'm just doing, like a full,
like shading
one color, I can do that. Which is good if, like, I'm doing, like, any, like, painting, like, clay things or anything.
So, how's the air noise? Is the air noise really coming in loud?
Oh, Kevin Pirelli asks, any chance you'd be designing a new set of 6-pack of skull stencils?
No, not anytime soon. The 6-pack has been, around for a while. There's so many other skull stencils out there. I don't think I'd be designing a new one. I have thought about doing a bigger size that has more texture and detail in it. We'd have to see, if that's viable or not. But the 6-pack now is such a solid set that once you get used to those, you can pretty much make any skull design from what's already there. So.
Chris Moran said that the air sounds faint, and the compressor noise is faint too.
That's good.
Anthony said, Paris Cohen says Scott asked butcher his name. Shalot felt.
Oh yeah, Ken
Badger about the Thayer Chandler part.
Yeah, this is so old. I don't even, like I said, I can't even find pictures of one.
Anthony.
I'll look into it.
Anthony says it.
Yep.
Says I started airbrushing around the same time, '89. I used the
Pache. Yep.
Pache VL dual action.
Yep, that was my second airbrush. My second airbrush was a Pache VL. It's a little trip down memory lane.
I love the way that you can see them holding it.
Okay, let's get some pieces. Let's get some more sections off this dragon.
Scott Boss said, I love painting my cats.
Yes, you gotta love painting cats, man. Cats love it. My daughter would attest, I'm not a cat person. And, at all. Well, mainly because I had my eye almost ripped out by a cat when I was sleeping once. So, it has stitches across my eyelid, so I'm not really a cat person.
You're making it sound like the cat actually attacked you.
It did attack me when I was sleeping.
It ran across.
It did it on purpose. It knows. Cats know everything.
It wasn't even a full-grown cat, it was a kitten.
It's my story. I'm sticking to it. Alright, let's get this neck area done. There's just a little fold in here.
Paris Cohen said, in the metal box, saving it for... Oh, no. He said, and then there's a dagger, D-A-G-R, in the metal box, saving it for when it's worth millions.
Yeah, I helped develop the dagger. Years back, I wasn't using Iwatas then as much. It wasn't like my main line, and DeVilbiss had came to me and asked me what I thought of the brush. It was still in development, and it wasn't great. It had some potential. I worked with him for a little bit and got it to be better. It still was never an amazing brush, but it had some cool features.
We're just talking about cats now.
So I have one from them. It's got my name engraved in it and the whole 9. Yep.
Chris Moring said, I'm horribly allergic to cats. Think they're neat animals. Harris said Scott is scared of cats.
I'm not scared of cats. I just don't have the need to own one.
Scott Boss said, I had a black cat named Snowball before The Simpsons made it cool.
Nice. So I think I need to thin this a little bit more. I'm not sure the microns are running like I want it to. This kind of what I was talking about yesterday. I love my microns, but when you don't have the paint running just right through them, just reduced enough, they tend to be really finicky. So I might switch up to one of my eclipses for this. There we go. So see, it's like old paint by numbers, guys. I'm just working through the pieces. And by the time it's done, we're gonna have a dragon. Zoom out here.
I was doing that, yeah.
So the reason why I plot a lot of stuff like this is, the normal way I used to do it, and still do it from time to time, is I would just, put transfer tape or, masking tape over the whole surface I'm painting, sketch this out, draw it, cut it with an X-Acto, and go from there. So I can still do that, but now I do this mainly. I work on a lot of motorcycles and cars, so a lot of times we're doing things twice, because you're doing it on both sides. So, why cut it twice when I can design the cuts in the computer once, and then just go from there? Here's a cool trick with Gerald's stencils. Move with the stencil. Get really cool patterns. Go to my darker color. At some point I should really clean my airbrushes more. This is where I run into the problems because I don't clean them enough.
Like you need to do like a deep clean.
Well, I do, and then I do a project, and then it sits for a night. Yeah, so as I keep unmasking, more and more shows up. Yeah, I'll get this off. Yeah, so you're basically working around the whole perimeter, getting everything pulled out and established. And then I can go through with all little pick details and stuff like that. So this is going to be the neck area. Yeah, let's just...
If you got any questions, you can ask me when I sit on.
So yeah, I'm just going to go in and just doing that. Now we're going to...
Anthony Sazek said, I think we all do that. Finish a project and let the brush just sit and the paint dries out. Now we have to break them down and clean them.
No, I don't really have the paint dry out. The paint stays wet for so long, but yeah, it's just not... they just get kind of abused. So see what I'm doing? I'm doing the drop shadows. There's the horns coming up off the bottom jaw, and then these long horns. So because it's on a radius, you want that shadow to come down. You don't want to like follow it exactly.
Do you sell your artwork like Michael Valley does?
Yep. Yep. We take offers on everything. Same thing. Take some bids. Go from there. Like last night one. Like I said last night, this one, I'd let this one start at $150 and go from there.
It'll be cleared and polished before it gets sent out.
We do bins a lot during those wheels when we're there. Too.
Yeah. Yep. I know everyone's kind of a little tight right now. Everyone's kind of holding on to money, so. But I still wanted to paint. You know, every year I do this at the World of Wheels, and I didn't want to skip it just because I wasn't at the show. The show was canceled, so I figured I'd just bring everyone the same content I normally would. Let's see here. You know, I also like this was Dennis Mathewson's bubble effects. I love this one for like scales and stuff once in a while too. This just adds some really cool like I said, when I'm doing this, I'm not trying for 100% final look. I'm just getting enough that I've established most of my tone, and when I get everything else off, then I can go in and really freehand and noodle around all the details, stuff like that. You know, we'll just do some squiggly veins and stuff in the neck.
You'll have to just finish a hard hat today.
You know, I always stay away from those things. I've had so many issues with paint not sticking well to them because of the chemical grade ones and having to deal with it, so I've just always stayed away from them. I don't think I've ever really painted one. I think I did a long time ago, but I've been asked to a lot, and after seeing all the issues guys have, I tend to stay away from them. But that's cool, though. You can also use the big bird here. Really establish the now I'm just kind of hitting those heavy shadows, letting it kind of highlight out. You can use some larger texture effects in here as well. And this one's great. This one's really cool. All right, let's get on. What's next? Hey, Shane, what's next? Come on, man. Pick it. Shane was actually pretty damn good in class figuring out which one to do next. I think this one will definitely come back to the Art Circus, whether it's on a Lumalor panel again or just solo, because it was fun. And it's one of these projects that, because it gives you that barrier the whole time. If you're just new to airbrush and don't have a lot of control, the design gets there for you, and then you can really work on your control within the parameters of the predetermined design. Which is what's really cool about doing this, which is, the same as, you're hand cutting it and drawing it. The results are the same at the end. But from a business standpoint, the nice thing about having them plottable is I was eating dinner at 6 with my family, going, shoot, what am I going to paint? Thinking of ideas and bouncing ideas back and forth, and Kaylee said dragon. I'm like, oh, I got a dragon vector. So I took that dragon vector I did, sized it, tweaked it, changed it to fit this shape, added a few little things to it, and boom, new painting. So, it's almost like flash art in a tattoo shop. You know, you don't have to use it entirely, but you can use it as a jumping point for a new project. You know, or you can just copy it one-to-one if, you know, the client doesn't really have a big budget but wants something cool.
Didn't you do another dragon too with like chains and stuff?
Yeah, we did the chain and drawbridge dragon.
You did dragon a long time ago, though. Like,
Yeah,
somewhat remember.
we had a bike in a world of wheels, and the eyes and the teeth lit up, and the castle turrets were the blinkers of the bike. So where we going here? I'm gonna fold this little guy back. Fold you back. A lot of times I do these half cuts, and they're just there to register where, you know, little overlapping patterns delineate from each other. So what I do is I just fold them back quick, just like doing the paper cut and fold, and I just kind of tap them. And I'm going to do this guy in here.
Oh, hi, Wayne.
What's up, Wayne? Now I gotta do this tooth first, because this tooth is behind this tooth, it's behind this. So I'm gonna leave these pretty white. I'm just gonna hit the tops, and just a little bit of detail, a little bit of little tooth decay in there. So that way when I pull this one, see now that one ends up looking like it's behind. I might actually switch to a candy black after this too. And
Harris said, did he say detail in all caps?
I did, but small d details. Nothing beats when Gerald says it, so. You know, using the plotter is also good if you got to do a whole series of things for a client. Say you're doing a whole bunch of motorcycles or skateboards, or years back I did backpacks for a company called Bobblebee, which was those hard shell. So I had to do.
I remember that. That was cool.
Yeah, I got them over there. I had to do 20 backpacks for the company with this. They wanted, you know, originals, but they had to be similar, so there had to be continuity. So by plotting it, I could keep the size, shape, and parameters the same, but put a unique twist on every single one of them, which was great. It was a great way to do it. There we go. Just peeling as I go.
JLD in the house, Harris said.
What's that?
Harris said JLD in the house.
Ah.
Calvin Jones I've seen a video you made a while back, and you talked about the blade you're using. Where can someone purchase them?
Oh, the plastic razor blades. Coast Airbrush sells them. They're actually one of the cheapest places to get them. These are by Scrape Rite. There's a lot of different plastic blades on the market. Scrape Rite is the best by far because it actually has sharp corners. Which, let's see if you can see. It's actually got a sharp corner edge. And most of the other ones, like Body Shop pliers carry, the ones you see at Home Depot, they're rounded. They're just for kind of scraping stickers. But these have enough edge. They come in black. The black is a little harder. And then they come in yellow and blue, and I think green. They have different rigidities. I think black is the hardest, or the blue is, and then, you know, so these are great. But Coast Airbrush sells them. You get a pack for like 14 bucks. I've got them on Amazon once, and so sometimes they say you get the right ones, then you end up with the ones you don't want because it's really not the right ones. So I wouldn't bother with Amazon in these. I'd go to Dave on them. He carries the right ones. If he's out of them, I've ordered them through Fellers as well. Fellers is a big vinyl and online vinyl supply company. So you can go through there as well. They're Scrape Right. SCRAPERITE. See, I'm just picking and weeding as I go and setting up for freehand. And then I'll go through and darken things out. But this is just establishing kind of the design shape and flow and what it's going to roughly look like, and it gives you that tone. And once it's on mask, then you can soften all these hard edges and really get it done. Just jam the needle into the surface. Oops. I'll have to get my sharpener out and straighten that later. Like I said, I'm really not going for that much detail here. I'm just going for basic shading. Enough that I can freehand off it later. But the benefit to working with a plotted design like this too, which a lot of people don't realize, especially on motorcycles and cars, when you're with a motorcycle car, you're on a hard, clear-coated surface. It's been cleared and prepped and bodyworked. When you sheet mask and tape on it, you're going to cut with a razor blade. And the longer you're at it, you don't really cut too deep and you don't score it. But no matter what, you still score the clear just a little bit. So it actually does put minor imperfections in the clear coat that could come back to bite you in the butt later with delaminations or swelling or things like that with if the clear or base coat shrinks. So by doing it with a plotter, all these lines you're never cutting on the surface, so they're never going to cut into your substrate. And they're never going to come back to bite you in the butt. Benefit too is if you don't like this midway through, I could take reducer right now and wipe this whole thing off, or I could wet sand this off, and the design's gone. There's no cut marks in the clear, and it's perfect. So that's another really big benefit to it. The other thing I was going to do was, a buddy of mine, Ed Nathanson, he's, really geeks out over Ghostbusters. So last minute, before I was doing this, I almost did either Zool, or I was going to do one of the Hell Dogs. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. If people like that idea, let me know. Maybe a Zool on a Lumalore panel could be cool.
What was that from Hellboy? The Hellhounds from Hellboy?
Oh yeah, those Hellhounds from Hellboy were really cool. Actually, a friend of ours, my friend, we teach them at Circus, Tim Gore. Tim Gore worked on those guys and made them look all gnarly and really cool.
This one, probably not for tomorrow, but a cool piece you could do is like a Wendigo or something on a Lumalore palette.
Yeah, Wendigo could be cool.
Like the traditional Native American ones, not the ones with the zombie game.
I thought about doing like a Spider-Man piece. A friend of mine would love it for his son, and I did really consider it. The spider pieces take a long time with the webs, so I'm gonna have to figure out maybe some time to do that.
Some sort of Tron thing on a Lumalore palette would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, I've always thought about doing just a cool Tron piece. See how this is starting to all come together?
Tron bike was Lumalore, correct?
Yeah, I think
Or was it a car?
the bike's from. Well, they did the car. That was EJ's car, a friend of ours from Lumalore. He took his 350Z, his blue 350Z, and turned it into like a Tron car. And that thing's just an amazing piece. I forget how he said. I think there's over 90 connections in that, or 90 fields in that car, and it's like a quarter mile of tape and wire between everything. Yeah, that's a cool car. They had it at SEMA a couple years ago, and then EJ helped me with a big project we did up in Maine for a company called Red Energy Bar. We did their big M1079 with all their logos on it. So yeah, the Lumalore stuff is super fun to work with. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty wild stuff.
Is there an orange Lumalore?
Yes, there is an orange Lumalore. It's a little on the dimmer side compared to the blues and greens, because light works off frequency.
Well, blue and green are primary light colors, so that would make sense.
Yeah, the frequency makes them really easy to see. So they sort of cast a lot more light. So like the reds, the oranges, the yellows are a little dimmer.
Because if you could get orange, you could do like some cool like Cerberus or something.
Yeah. So the yellow lights up pretty good. So a lot of times they'll use a yellow and then you just candy over it and tint over it.
Yeah, cool. Like a Cerberus or something.
That needle's bent. These airbrushes. I should have really gone through more of these airbrushes and cleaned them before. Just using a darker color there. Yeah, that's not flowing well. Alright, we'll just get through this and we'll get over to the candies. So we're almost to the face. Now we're going to kind of keep coming in on it. And we'll have a dragon in the next couple minutes. I was also hoping to have my new microphone here. So I got a wireless lapel mic, so it would be even less air noise, but Amazon shipping is a little behind lately, in case you guys didn't notice. Is the feed staying pretty consistent and clear, guys? Is it getting choppy at all?
That looks good.
Please let me know.
There's been like a while ago, there were like a few like little spots where it like froze for like half a second.
Yeah, I figured if I got on the half hour instead of the hour, I'd probably get on a better time range.
Yeah, we had a lot more people today. We got up to like 100. I think the high was like 112 or something.
Yeah, that's good.
We're at like 60 now.
Nice. I appreciate you guys tuning in. So where's everyone from? Anyone from outside the country? I gotta keep remember we're on a delay.
Marcus. Oh, I cannot say his last name. Eisenhower from Berlin.
Yep, how you doing, Marcus? Marcus is a tremendously talented airbrush artist.
Anthony Krasik is from Long Island, New York.
So Anthony, you're from New York, but you got a Patriots logo for your avatar.
Or I mean, maybe he's not from New York, he's in New York. I don't know. James Robert is Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, nice.
Is oh, I'm stupid.
Supposed to be up in Michigan next week on a project, but that's not happening, unfortunately.
JD is from Winthrop, Mass.
Masshole.
Chad Kidder is from Hastings, Michigan. Scott Voss is from Abilene, Texas. I don't think I said that right.
I think you did, actually.
Marty Weber is from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Oh, you got 3 from Michigan.
Surprising. I didn't know there were...
You know there were actually people in Michigan?
No, that's not an event.
That's what my daughter was about to say. I didn't know people actually lived in Michigan.
I didn't know you had many followers from Michigan.
Who the hell would live up in Michigan?
I'd be more surprised if it was Wyoming. Or Alaska.
Yeah.
Harris is from Trenton. Calvin Jones is from Augusta, Georgia, I think.
Now, Harris, you were originally from up here, right?
So sad, no Masters golf tournament this spring.
Yeah, I know. You can't see people walking on a big course.
Anthony Cizik's profile picture isn't really the Patriots logo. It's a sort of knockoff Patriot.
I'm just giving him shit.
Pat Downey, right next door in Connecticut.
Hi, Pat. Pat is the other Lumalore genius.
Anthony also said, I'm a New York fan, not a New England fan. Wendy Dalton is also in Michigan. Oh, apparently I pronounced the, I forgot what it was now. Oh, Abilene perfectly.
Good job. Because my daughter's wicked smart.
Harris is originally from Long Island. Oh, why? The way it was spelled just threw me off. Yeah, Harris is originally from Long Island. David Wright said that's going to be awesome tomorrow with the Lumalore. It's going to help me with the one I got from Coast Airbrush Live.
Yeah, I think I gotta figure out what to paint on a Lumalore panel. Maybe a couple of guys asked for biomechanical last night. A biomechanical piece on the Lumalore could be really cool, and I can use my biomechanical brush set that's on my McKay Fine Art store. So if you guys who have downloaded, I could do kind of a nice tutorial on how to use it.
You could do make sure there's some cool areas that would look good with like a glow or whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff
Yep.
If you did like a steampunk person with like a glowing hot hair or something.
Love using the eraser technique. I didn't put a lot of 40-30 in this. I put some.
Yeah.
If you put 40-30 in there, it negates some of the erasability of it because it makes the paint harden up a little faster. So.
Harris said you do the bio on the Lumalore.
What's that?
Harris said do the bio on the Lumalore.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I definitely want to do a Lumalore piece. Basically, I'm trying to do everything I would have done at the World of Wheels live. So, that was the plan anyway. Hey, look, we're starting to get a dragon. Look at that. Starting to see it now.
It's surprising you don't draw dragons more often.
I go through phases.
Well, like, and when you would draw dragons, you didn't really draw Western dragons much. You mostly drew
No.
like...
You know what the problem? I don't do a lot of dragons? Because every time I do a dragon, I gotta compare it to how awesome Rod Fuchs's dragons look. And then I just hate myself, so I don't do them.
You started using the 40-30
Yes.
Why can't I read? I like the way it turned out.
Yeah, the 40-30 is what makes all the difference in the world, especially with the candies. That's what it's really for as well.
Harris said Rod would be proud.
Yeah, I like about this one. This is one I sketched up completely out of my head. I purposely avoided looking at any dragons online because you start coming across rods, or Michael Whalen's, or some of the big artists, and then you end up borrowing so much from theirs. Yours looks like theirs, and everyone's like, "Oh, you copied so and so." I'm like, "I didn't copy them, but just you get heavily influenced." So I try to stay away from it. So I create my own original.
God, Ross said I bought the plotter master disc, but I'm having trouble finding the vector files.
You should have them in your email. When I download it, when you purchase the files, if you purchase the one with everything, when I fulfill the order, you should have got an email where you can download them. So Scott, if you haven't gotten that email yet, look through your junk folder, look through the email. If not, private message me. I'll make sure I'll either email them to you separate, or I'll make sure, because you get up to, you think you can download them 3 times from the store. So they don't come on the disc itself. They come as an attachment email.
Anthony said the dog fighter mask I just did with Wicked and 4030. Calvin Jones said, I would say the ones who couldn't make it there like me are blessed to catch you on your live feed. Thanks.
So see how quick that's coming together? So the other benefit to working this method, this is why I teach this in my classes, that me and Rhino do the Airbrush Rendezvous class, which is still scheduled for June, as long as we can still go out in June. And so the benefit to doing this is I can design an entire project without ever seeing the vehicle until I actually get there. So how I lay my cuts out, I lay my cuts out the same way I would do it by hand. So if I was doing it by hand, and I would sheet tape the whole vehicle, and I would sketch it with a pencil and draw it, and then I would cut with the razor blade. Everywhere I would cut with the razor blade is where I put my vector paths. So it's running the same method. And I do that for a couple reasons. A, it makes it more natural for me to work afterwards. But it also, if I get back to a corner and have to do things by hand, it all marries up the same way. That's why, as much as I love using plotter, you need to know how to use both. So, one is, a plotter should not be a substitution for learning how to do it by hand. I can't stress that enough. You really want to know both. So, but again, I've designed projects like in the air, on the way to a job. So when I get there, I can load the file in and just start cutting. So I'm already where I would normally be 3 or 4 days into a car on site. I've done it all either on the airplane or at my studio, so it minimizes my downtime, my away time from the studio when I'm doing projects. And it's more cost effective for the client and myself because, I can usually work on the cuts at more leisure time, and I'm not super stressed, not burning. Like, say if we only got a shop for a week on site for some of these bigger projects, if I only got the job for a week, I don't have 3 days to sit there and decide the design, sketch it, refine it, tweak it, make sure the customer likes it, and then now down to 2 days to paint it. So by doing it this way, I'm never having to worry about that. We know the design going into it. I know the customer's going to like it. The customer's approved it. All my cuts are done, and I'm just ready to actually paint because all the back end work is done. Save the eye for last. I have one tooth here. then the other thing this is good for, which is why I used this on the Lumalore project before. When you're doing a Lumalore panel, if you are heavy-handed with the blade, you are going to ruin your Lumalore panel. If you cut through all your layers, you end up cutting all the way down through your conductive, non-conductive layers, and you can actually short out the Lumalore panel, which you just spent 4 days working on. So, running a plot file, you don't have to worry about it, because you're not actually putting a blade to the surface at all. So all I'm doing here is just establishing that little bit of tone, how I like the look of it. You know, and I have no edges because I'm only spraying little bits of paint. There's no edges. When I go to clear this, I'm not trying to build over edges, and I'm not trying to build over cut marks. Now that eye stayed clean right to the end. I'll take a little electric eraser. Get that little highlight there.
When should I go to get some of that blue mask?
Yeah, the Blue Mask is great. It's the best mask you're ever going to use. It is the most expensive mask you're going to buy, so I don't recommend making this your all-time mask for everything. It is costly, but this is what you use when you absolutely have to have the best cut, the thinnest cut, so you leave no edge. You can wrap this stuff around a ball. You can heat it, and it lays out great. It's removable. It does everything. So yes, it is more money than Avery and Oracal and all the other ones on the market. So I'll use the Averys and Oracals for like big fill areas and big graphics and big lettering. But when I got to do the really good details and really get down, on a curved surface, I mean, I can do a Harley Davidson, bar and shield, or the circle logo, the Willie G Skull logo, about 6 or 7 inches on the side of a gas tank with no wrinkles and no relief cuts. It'll wrap right around. So it's really just the best stuff to use. I use the other ones too. I use Avery. I use all that. But when I'm doing everything I really need, I go right to this. If I want even thinner and I want a flat surface, like when I did the RV, I use the gold mask from FBS. The gold mask is the same as, the actual KUTG gold tape. It's the same material. By far the thinnest on the market. There's a couple other gold tapes in the market that are just about as thin. But man, this stuff is just tremendous. It doesn't have the same flex, but what it does do, if you do get little wrinkles, it 100% closes up on itself, so paint doesn't leak through. Like if I do this and have this wrinkle, I'm going to get an edge there. It's not going to bleed through because it collapses on itself. And, I think it's the only tape I've ever used that you can do this with. So, you can, fold it over itself and it comes right back out, and the glue doesn't stick to itself. I have never, ever had a glue release problem on either of the gold or the blue mask, working on solvents or water-based or any type of chemical. So you can just keep doing it. That's what's awesome about this stuff.
What transfer tape works best for you with curved surfaces?
So for curved surfaces, you want to use, you can write this down. It's R tape, AT Apple Tom 7.5. The AT 7.5. So that's it. All the mask is pulled. Everything's established. That's pretty much the guy. The other thing I do at the plotter, and I teach this at our classes at the Rendezvous and at the circus, is I'll make this one-to-one. My plot file will line up with a paper cut file. So I don't have to keep saving the mask. I can have just a paper printout where I can cut shapes and use it as loose masks. I do that as well quite often.
Another question.
Yep.
When designing a new mask, how many sample panels do you do prior to the actual piece that was commissioned?
Never. I usually don't do a sample panel.
Yeah, so you usually do digital.
So I'll do a quick digital rendering of what it might look like on a vehicle, and then I'll design the plot file, and then I'll just go paint it. I've done it enough where I know how to design the plot file for how I paint, so I know the order I'm going to pull color. I know the order I'm going to pull things with. So I don't ever really do a test panel unless the customer requests one and wants to pay for it. Then I will do it as part of the job, but I won't paint it, 2 or 3 times before I paint the vehicle. I'll literally, I think, what was it? When I was going out with Rhino, we were doing that big semi, the big, the tow truck. A lot of that, I was designing it on the plane on the way there. Finishing up files and stuff. So when we got there, I could cut it, adjust it, and just go right to it.
I remember that.
What's that?
I remember that.
Yep.
I remember you working on it.
Oh my, Kaylee was there for that build.
That's like the only one I've actually gone like before.
Yeah. Yeah. Kaylee and Coda. They had to keep picking up me and Rhino's paper everywhere.
Yeah.
Because we just kept throwing it on the ground for them.
Sweeping. A lot of sweeping.
They swept that. I want to say it was like 100-foot by 100-foot by 80-foot shop. I think they swept that thing about a dozen times that week.
And anytime we weren't doing that, we were usually just, for some reason, we just decided to go in the woods in the back for some reason.
So that's kind of what that looks like right now. Keep toning it some more. Now that I have everything there, now I can establish what I want darker. If I want things to be lighter, I know what to erase. I know, and I've done this pretty much with just one color. I use that little black at the beginning just to get in here, but that was it. But now that's done, there's not a cut mark on this piece. Let's get the eraser out here. Let's see, I have the really good erasers that I got from Marcus. I think I have them out in the other garage. I have these ones. This is the ones I get from Drew Blair that you couldn't get these ones anymore. These are a lot harder. So these almost scratch everything out. So, I can go in and do my highlights with this. Let me zoom in here. Let me see if I can get this one a little closer. How's that? That looks pretty decent. Now I can go in. If you don't want an airbrush white, you can go in and do a little scratching.
Scott found the email.
Awesome, man. Good. Yeah, just download those. You'll be all set. If you have any issues, let me know. I'll walk you through them. Everything should be pretty self-explanatory. When you're on a white panel, erasing a white car, erasing's such an awesome way to do it. I don't care what paint you get, whether it's House of Color, Createx, Tamco, PPG, all of them inspired. All whites have a thicker titanium dioxide to it, so some are better than others, but you always get tip dry with them. A lot of the tip dry isn't from the paint, it's from your airbrush, building up a bent needle or humidity or anything to just give it, something to stick to, basically, is what happens a lot. So
Michelle asked what eraser you're using, but that's
Yeah, this is what I got from Drew Blair a while back. Typically, you could just use these. These are the Fiber Castell erasers. These work great as well. They're a little softer, so you got to edge them a little bit. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll just chisel the edge with a razor blade, and you get pretty much the same result. They're a lot softer, so you can do soft blends with them. And if that's not working for you, you can bring out this baby, and you can just see I can do these little edges and just. This is the Sakura Erasers. These are really powerful. The Helix ones work great too. They're a little softer. They're a little slower. Slower can be good sometimes because you're not wearing out the paint as fast. In Sakura, they also make, if you're doing solvent, they make the blue. It's hard to see on camera. This is a blue eraser. These are for inks. Blue solvent. So these will actually rip off urethane really well. So look, I can just carve little lines. Yeah, I'll carve a bunch into this horn.
Yeah, you can see the blue pretty well.
Hmm?
You can see the blue pretty well.
Good. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do some scraping like this. And then I'll go with the white and airbrush and soft shade it. This is the only time, and I've never done it, so it's the only time I kind of think this relates to tattooing, because you're just putting a little bit of pressure down. Yeah, we'll do some teeth. So just carve all the detail in that tooth. Then like I said, I go with the white. I can go with the dark colors later. But see how much that actually does a really good job. You can see all those nice little details in there. Like I said, I put 40-30 in this, so it does make it a little bit more durable to erasing. That's why the electric one comes in handy. This eraser has seen better days. That's why it's so loud. As you can see, it's taped, and you can see the battery through it, and it's tape stuck to it, and it's definitely time for an upgrade. I wish if Steve Leahy and Rod Fuchs were here, they can have their hot press, cold press debate on illustration board. I think the first time they got in that debate was ABU. When we did, Airbrush University way back in the day over at Stonehill College. Harris was up there for, if Harris is still here, Harris, I think you were there for all the ABUs, right? Those were fun. We had a great time doing those. So what does everyone think? Would this make a good downloadable class lesson? What I might just do is I could probably just put the vector up tomorrow, and you guys could just play this back and watch it.
Harris said he missed one.
You missed one, okay, yeah. Slacker. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just For those who want it, I'll put this vector up for download. And you can just watch this one back, and it's basically another free how-to video. So now that this is done, see, I can go in and I can start toning because I got the erasing. And I can really just really dial in on that eye. So, now I can go in with loose shields and I can soften things up. Little bits of paint, not flooding it on. It's not a crazy amount. I got the paint really thin and dialed in now. And see, that hard edge, sorry, I'm flipping everyone off. That hard edge was stenciled before, but now it's starting to soften up. And now it doesn't look like it was stenciled. That's always, whenever I use masking for artwork, the biggest key I've always found is try to make it look like it wasn't, nothing else was used. I'll have to think of a cool background image for this too. And I can just wash over this now with color.
Where would you add any if you added any?
I might just give it a little tone. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's find an airbrush that actually is not gummed up. That one's got a color in it. Does this one have a color in it? Yeah. I think these all have a little contaminated color. I did. Oh, you know which ones don't have color?
Because
Whoa.
you were testing, you were trying to find one that was working.
I'll bring out my Copper Beauty, my all copper Eclipse. This thing is aging in and patinaing quite nicely. And we'll take a little magenta. So we got some illustration magenta.
You're going to do 40-50?
No, I'm not using a candy.
Oh, you're not? Oh.
No, I'm just going to take a little bit of magenta. I'm going to put the reducer in first. Put that in. I got the 40-13. You know what? Yeah, I'll do a little 40-50. If I have that. Oh, I don't have it open right now. There we go. Okay. So now we'll just give it, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a magenta tone and texture. There you go, Michelle. Look at that. Look at that hot spot right there. Whoop. Give a little tone.
It's a bit harder to see on the actual stream, but like on Facebook, but the other part of the story.
So we'll give it a little bit to that eye. A little magenta glow. Let it focus up. Let's see if we can go. Whoa. Sorry, guys. Whoa. There we go. Just a little bit of, I'm just putting a little bit of this magenta in the darker areas. See, that's just, it's just changing the tone of it a little bit. that, just a little bit.
The color is much easier to see in person than on screen. But
Oh yeah, the screens never do it.
like on the
Especially, you know, I should have thought about not doing purple. Cameras, man, cameras always have a tough time with purples. They can't.
make them look kind of grayish almost.
Yeah, or
Less saturated.
it'll either go too to the blue or too much to the red side. And there was a Facebook post. It was not a Facebook post. It was I think a couple months ago that the color magenta does not exist on the spectrum. So if you look at the true color spectrum, you know, where it goes from, you know, from magenta, violet, you know, purple back to red, if it cycles back around, there's never magenta anywhere in the light spectrum scale. Which I thought was really interesting. I'm like, yeah, but it exists. Like, yeah, but it doesn't. Well, it does because we have it. But so I thought it was kind of a funny thing. See if I can find. If you look, you can probably Google it and find it. That, you know, magenta does not exist. Scientists say.
You can find pink lights, but you never really find like. I
Yeah.
feel like magenta's too dark to be a light color.
Yeah, they said basically it doesn't really exist because it flips to a different color too rapidly.
Crystal Simpson said, yes, your bandwidth will increase along with stability by hardwiring. You should get the Cat 6 though.
Yeah, yep, definitely Cats. Yeah. I still say Cat 5, old school. The house already has some in it. I just don't have it up here in the studio, so I need to get that going just for stability. Now I'm going with some white. We'll just do some veins here in the neck. And I'll probably go in and darken things up with a candy black at the end. And get ready to call it a night. If anyone is interested in this painting, feel free to throw a bid in, or you can PM me later on it. You know, whole thing's been done all in Createx. If you've noticed, I'm not having any masking problems. Things aren't delaminating. See? I just painted it. Nothing's delaminating. Nothing's coming off. Paint's drying fine. You know, I do recommend having one of these in your shop. Even when you're on solvent paint. Well, water-based paint, it's more, not just Createx, any water-based, it's more important to have temperature and humidity gauge. Make sure, you know, you're not, you know, super high humidity or, you know, some dry. A little too dry up here, actually. You want to be comfortable. But if you're on the wet scale and up like 60%, 70% humidity, you're going to have an issue with any water-based paint. And it's even not a great idea to paint with solvent in that. Yeah, you can have a dehumidifier running. So, humidity and temperature affect water-based paints of all types greatly.
Calvin Jones said, interested in what background are you at?
I don't know yet. I don't know if a background's going to happen in this tonight, or it might just be some textured background, or I'll put a little fire in it. Maybe I'll just unmask it and throw a little loose fire for now and call it that. Yeah, so now, yeah, we'll throw some fire. So we're going to do fire coming out here. It's going to be glowing. So this would get a highlight ridge. So we'll just put that in now. Here, we're going to darken some things up. maybe I'll go through after the video and I'll tighten some things up. And I'm just happy the feed's staying stable tonight and working good, and it's making me happy. I was pretty stressed out last night and bummed after that feed because it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. Get right in there. A little bit of like water under the eye so it looks wet. Yeah, remember my background's white right now, so if I'm not doing anything big, I can't have it too light on the edge because it's not going to show up. So I'm going to make the edges pretty dark. So I want the tips of all the horns and fins to really pop.
Scott, do you ever come in with the brush and outline certain areas? I used to do that in my work off and on.
Yeah, you know, I don't do it enough as I should, but I do find, yeah, we'll throw some in. My palette is usually my hand. You know, we'll go in and just do the little highlights and things like that. Yeah, especially on the teeth. There's nothing. I used to hear this from artists, airbrush artists. Actually, I'm not even going to say airbrush artists because usually it's people who aren't artists that said, "Oh, you're cheating. You're using a brush, or you're using this, or you should do it all with an airbrush." Why? Who made that rule up?
It's called mixed media.
Yeah, mixed media. And the Creatrix brushes really well. Shoot, to bring back up Dragons, look at Rod Fuchs' work, man. Rod uses brush a lot, and it gives it that amazing grit and texture that you just don't get with an airbrush. Airbrush is designed to be soft, so... Now, I usually don't go in and do like any dark outlining with a brush. I usually just do like highlighting with it and things like that. Kind of like the same as erasing. But yeah, you know, thank you for bringing that up because I wasn't going to do this and then you brought it up, so we just added it in there.
There is no cheating in art.
Exactly.
Michelle said that.
And usually the ones who say you cheated are the ones that can't paint. Or don't paint. Or they'll come up to you and see, again, if I was at the World of Wheels, we'd have the drunk guy or the know-it-all guy say, "Oh, I used to do this in the body shop back in the day. I used to do flames and stuff, and I did this." And, you know, you're cheating doing it that way. You know, I did it old school. Love those guys. They crack me up. Because they always say, "I used to do it." Well, if you used to do it,
Times have changed.
times have changed, or you might not have been.
Realized that that doesn't just
You
don't
might,
have to do that anymore.
you might not have been very good at it, so you didn't last doing it. I shouldn't say that.
At a certain point, the techniques and materials fall by the wayside, and the concept and emotional response is all that remains.
Yep. Like we'll highlight these guys. We'll put a little, you know, we'll put a little drool coming out here. You know, a little, yeah, look, some drool coming down. Yeah. Look at that.
Maybe some in between some of the bottom to bring down the chin.
Yep. You know, tell a little story. Maybe he's hungry. He hasn't eaten in a while. Now Now he's drooling over dinner. It's cool. I'm digging it. A little brush work, a little airbrush work. All right. I say we unmask, see what I'm looking at, tone it, and we'll decide on if I'm going to do a background tonight or not.
It's already 9:30.
It's already 9:30. Probably not going to plan anything major for the background, but maybe I'll just throw a little texture in and some drop shadow, and we'll make this thing pop. This is like Christmas now. Christmas. The end of every custom paint job with tape is like Christmas morning. You get to unwrap it and see what you got. Sometimes you're not sure what you're going to end up with.
Christmas time, before you even said it on the screen.
Oh, that's funny. Look at that. Look at that. Just popping off the canvas. Not bad for an hour and a half, huh, kids? All right, I am going to put this vector up for download sometime tomorrow. I'll put an announcement out. And you guys can follow along with this video and do it. We're just going to do a little. Let's see, let's get my same curve from last night.
And sometimes close your artwork up. Wayne.
I'm just going to do a little bit of smoke. I'm going to do a little bit of smokiness here. Just a little bit of smoke coming out his mouth. He's not breathing fire anymore. He already did. So it's just a little bit of smoke.
Maybe something comes from his nose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me go. A little bit. And then we need.
Did anyone hit you up on the swell panel last night?
Nope. We'll just do little clouds in here.
Calvin said that's it. Stick a fork in it. Done. Awesome.
Yeah, I think we're just going to keep it simple like this. A little bit of smoke, a little bit of this magenta.
Did you sign your panel last night?
Hmm?
Did you sign your panel last night?
No, I didn't sign it last night. You know. We'll have some clouds.
Robert said, Scott, you've got really good with your fire and smoke. The last couple bites were off the chart. Thanks for it.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, fire and smoke, man, can really sometimes be, if you're in the right mood for it, too. The last couple customers that I did those for, super patient, gave me the time I needed to do it when I need to do it. And when I get that, I can really just flow nicely and make it happen. Let me just put a little cloud here. Some happy little clouds. And then we just gotta give it a nice border. I think I'll just stick with the same color combo and just go with like a black purple for that.
Or you could just do the more black.
Yeah, I think I'll just go.
So it's more contrast.
Yeah, let's go closer to black with it. I hope this little thing took some. I gotta find my knife. Hold on a second. Oh no, Bob got paint on him. Shoot. Sorry, Bob. Bob's got paint. Bob knocked over my paint.
Now he's purple. At least at the back.
I'll get it off him. Alright, excuse me for 1 sec, guys, if you can get my knife.
Your orange one?
No, an actual knife.
Oh.
You know, I think when I clear this, maybe I'll take a little bit of like magenta or purple sparklescent pearl over the top of this before I flat clear it. And that would look really cool.
Nothing is safe in the studio.
Nothing.
That's what Wayne said.
Wayne knows that more than anyone. Wayne worked in my studio for how many years, Wayne? Over 4? I want to say. Look damn close to it.
Something like that.
Wayne put up with me throwing shit and swearing and everything else. And Wayne also became a really solid artist and striper, and it was great having him.
4-ish.
Yeah, right around there. Love the Pro Maskers. Maybe I should be like Leahy tomorrow, just paint on a razor blade. No. I know it's a bit overkill, but can never be too careful. Okay. Just go. It's gonna go pretty much straight black.
Michelle said, yeah, paint on a razor blade.
What I'll do is I'll paint a shape of a razor blade on a panel this big, and then I'll paint on a razor blade. Cool, man. Who was that?
Scott.
Oh, yeah, cool. Awesome, dude. I said this would have been my 20th year painting live, so I'm going to still consider this. Yep. That was 6 years BC. Before Kaylee. Well, you're 14.
5 years.
5.
2005. Started 2000.
Yeah. I'm just going with age. Sorry. All right. Here's the complete unveil. Ready? Whoop, whoop. Up. What is it? What is it? No, go back. Forward. No, go back. Forward. Ta-da! So, hour and a half, hour and 40-minute live feed. Complete dragon from start to finish. No actual edge at all. So if you guys running shops or clearing, if you're clearing over other people's work, this is what's key. You're not going to have to clear this with 2 rounds of 4 coats of clear. You're going to be able to do 1 round of clear with this and bury it, and you'll be done. You're not going to have any shrinking or anything like that. So with that, I am going to sign it.
Oh, Gerald Mendes just joined.
Gerald just joined. You missed it, buddy. We're just finishing up, but we did use a lot of texture effects in this. This came in really handy, buddy, in here. Got all the little details in. And I didn't use any green. No green. No green dragons. Gerald hates green, in case you don't know that. So that's why Gerald didn't show up last night.
I don't like green dragons either.
Because we painted this last night, Gerald. Oof. You don't like that one. We did this now.
I feel like green dragons are way too overdone.
Yeah. So that's from the side. Look at that. It's like it's gonna go right at you. That all those clean lines and that shadowing. What I painted first becomes the darkest. Second, all the way up. And that's what creates that depth. So I'll make this vector downloadable, and I'll put it on the store tomorrow. And you guys can follow along this video, and we'll go from there.
So I hope you enjoyed that project, this one right here. It was fun to do. It's a great project. It teaches a lot about sequential masking and stuff like that. So don't forget to subscribe to my other videos for the Down and Dirty tricks. We have a lot more coming. There's a lot more out there. Go over to McKayFineArt.com. That's where you see a lot of other vector files and libraries and some other products you can check out. See you next time.